Hey guys, it's Zach with Paramount Financial Planning coming at you today with a little education work. What I wanted to do is I try to come up with an analogy of what financial planning is and how to kind of easily understand why we do financial planning. So, as you'll see here with my lovely artistry, I built a house. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to take each level of the financial planning and put it into perspective of a house. So let's start with the basement or the foundation of the house. So what you'll see here is the basement and the foundation is really made up of three core areas. The idea is that you need stability for the longevity of your house. That stability can look like tax planning, which helps you optimize and retain the resources that you have. It can look like emergency savings. So if an emergency comes up, you need to know that you're prepared and that you don't need to go to other sources like credit cards or personal loans. So building that emergency savings is part of that foundation. And then you have risk management. Risk management is really just a fancy term for your insurances. But you want to make sure as you're building and your wealth that you want to protect your wealth. And as you're building it, you might not have the money to protect your family if you were to pass away, for example, or in case there was a car accident. So you have different insurances to make sure that when life's uncertainties come, that you're prepared for them. Next, we have the pillars or the support beams in the house. Not all houses have pillars, but the support beams. And what's really important about the support beams, we're going to look at retirement planning. So retirement planning and support beams are really there to ensure that you have the longevity side of things. So imagine that you don't have the correct support, or some of your support beams are rotting, or something's going on. In the short term, your house might be okay. But in the long term, you're going to have actual issues with your house. And that's retirement planning as well. You might feel like you're okay today because you're making it through the day to day. But in the future, when you're relying on that house to continue to protect and to cover you, that's when you need that stability. So we start with retirement planning. And retirement planning is looking like putting good habits in place, making sure that you are preparing yourself for the future. Or if you're there in that retirement time, it's ensuring that you have a good plan on what the next 30 years, as you ask your retirement account to start giving you money, that you're prepared for what that looks like. And we call that distribution planning. So those are the support beams, just making sure that you have a good longevity set up for yourself in your house. So next, we have the inside of the house. And that's the walls, it's the decorations, it's the furniture. Have you ever seen a beautiful house, gone inside, and then wondered, what's going on here? Like there's almost no furniture, or maybe the furniture doesn't really match the outside, or the opposite side. You've seen like a really small house that doesn't look like it's anything special, but then you go inside and see that someone took so much time and care into really being intentional about the decorations and how they set up their house. Well, that's this level of financial planning. So we start and we spend a lot of time getting to know what money really means to you and why does it matter to you. That helps drive the purpose and values because we want to connect your purpose with your planning. It's really important to have those connected. From there, we take that and we say, okay, we know what really is valuable to you. How does that lead into the different goals that you have? And goals can look like vacation planning. It can look like owning rental properties, maybe being financially free and having that spare time to be able to spend doing other things, or paying for kids' college. These are all important goals, but they fit within inside of the purpose of what your financial plan is. So we want to make sure that the outside of the house looks just as good as the inside. And sometimes the inside, that's where you're spending a lot of the time and making sure that you're lounging around. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're really living that life to the fullest that you can feel. Lastly, we have the roof of the house. And you might be thinking the roof is only really replaced every 20 to 30 years. Why are you using that as part of the analogy? But the roof really protects everything that's inside, everything that you've built over all of these years. So we look at the roof as the legacy planning. And legacy planning is protecting everything that you have built over all of these years, all the money that you've saved, the house that you've built, the values and everything that you've poured into it. You want to make sure that that is passed on correctly to your family, to charities, to loved ones, whatever that looks like. It's important. Now, you might not be reviewing this every single week or every single year, just like you're not going to have your roof replaced that often, but it's important that as your life shifts and changes, that you get it updated. Just like as a roof tends to crumble over time, you want to make sure that you're getting it fixed or replaced. So sometimes you're going to actually review that legacy planning and make sure that everything is being passed correctly and that you're really protecting what you've spent so hard over 20, 30, 40 years to build. Now, what you'll notice is that we wrote the word interconnected up there, and that's because all of this is interconnected together. So think about the house. Without the foundation, the house falls. We need a strong foundation to build it on. Without everything inside of the house and the pillars that are holding it up, the house is going to crumble, or you're not going to enjoy actually being inside of the house. And then you have the roof, which actually protects everything. So it can ruin everything if you have a big rainstorm because you don't have the right roof. And that's just like financial planning. So you want the foundation to make sure you're protected, because life always has uncertainties. We live in a very uncertain world today. You want to make sure that you have the pillars and the support beams because you want to think about your future. You do want to live for today, but you want to make sure that you're protecting that future as well. The walls and that decoration, you really want to make sure that you're enjoying life. We call it a return on life. What is your return on life? What are you actually getting out of your day to day? And that looks like today, but also preparing for the future as well. And that legacy planning. How are we going to make sure that everything that we've learned, everything that we've spent so much time building, that it's passed on to our loved ones correctly? So this is what we consider to be holistic financial planning, is making sure to look at every single facet of your life to make sure that it meshes together well and that it really looks good and feels good. So we're excited. If you want to sit down and chat sometime about maybe you don't feel like you have a plan that kind of fits everything together and you don't feel like you have a home that you've really built, we'd love to sit down with you. It's what brings Craig and I passion and fire, is being able to sit down and really get to know people and make sure that we connect everything together and bring that purpose and that planning together. So we're excited. Let's find out what we can build together. Thanks, guys.